formally call the March meeting of the Lake Forest, as we are, Lake Forest Parks and Recreation Commission order. May the record indicate all commissioners present with the exception of Commissioner Manning, who has an excused absence. And I will, in turn, now lead all of us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise.
Thank you.
Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We will continue with our quarterly public works presentation.
Yes.
All the things that they've done.
I need to teach you guys how to vote,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
okay?
I came to council meetings, I learned that.
Oh, okay. So if there's 3 buttons there. One is yes, one is no, and one is abstain, okay? And then what happens is after everybody's voted, I hit a button here, and you'll see it up there on the board.
Oh.
And that's really all there is to it. It's not that hard, okay? Yes.
So this is,
Yes, this was just put in, I guess, Tuesday night. Yes, and so we're supposed to use that now when we vote.
Sure. So everybody practice, everybody vote?
Okay.
Has everybody voted?
I have. I think that's fascinating. Oh, look, isn't that funny how we voted too?
The side of the room is in agreement.
yeah, right.
It is funny. Oh, the red. Oh, the red.
Oh, and Manny, we should have pushed his abstention vote.
That's, she can record that.
That is cool. That is cool.
So now we
Thank you, Carol.
want everybody to know that the city has moved up one step in technology. This was part of the capital improvement program's cost of $82.5 million. So, and strike that please from the record. Anyway, on to more meaningful things, our quarterly public works update. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chair Rosenberg, I'd like to introduce Angel Fuertes. He'll give a report on the Public Works quarterly report. Angel?
Yes, good evening, Chairman Rosenberg and members of the Parks and Rec Commission. Your packet includes the Public Works quarterly update and included our descriptions and schedules of recently completed projects, projects currently under construction, and new projects that are added to the 2-year capital improvement program. What I want to do tonight is highlight 2 of the projects that are currently under construction, and I am sure it would be of very big interest to members of the Commission. Those 2 projects being the Rimgate Tamarisk Parks project and the Lake Forest Sports Park project. On the screen behind me is Tamarisk Park. It shows the tot lot that was recently constructed. Both Rimgate and Tamarisk Park gets new play equipment, shade structures, restroom buildings, landscape and irrigation. And Tamarisk Park gets a new ball field, bleachers and backstops. That's how it looked about 2 weeks ago, right after the rains. The irrigation was recently installed. Got brick dust on the infield, and the backstop and fencing have been installed. At Tamarisk Park, the shrubs are being installed this week, and the sod would be installed starting next week and should be completed by mid-April. This shows a panoramic of both the tot lot and the ball field at Tamarisk Park. These are the park signs that we installed at Alton Park, Peachwood Park, Rimgate, and Tamarisk. Okay, we'll go over to the Lake Forest Sports Park project and give you a little update on the construction. The construction at the park started in July 2013, and is scheduled to be completed by the end of this year. The contractor has made significant progress in the construction of the park improvements and the recreation center. All of the underground utilities have been installed, and the contractor is approximately 50% complete in the overall park construction and 75% complete on the recreation building. The next photos show the ball field construction. Frames in the frames for the shade structures have been erected. You see that the Musco lighting, the grading, and the fencing have been installed. This is one of the two tot lots. The poles are the poles for the shade structures that would be overhead of the tot lots. In the background, it shows the water tank and the slope. Most of the trees on the slopes have been installed. Okay, there's another photo of the ball field. You see that most of the fencing is installed, the fall poles installed. Up. Okay, this is the clubhouses. There's two of them. Each clubhouse has a concession stand, restrooms, office for the staff, and storage areas. The clubhouses are about 75% complete also. And notice that the detailing that's involved with the natural stacked stones. This is the beginnings of the soccer stadiums. There's two of them. In the foreground is the one of 9 picnic shelters, and each picnic shelter has a picnic tables and barbecues. And in the foreground is the 2 soccer stadiums. This is how the recreation center looked approximately 3 weeks ago. The asphalt paving has been installed in the parking lot and all of the roadways throughout the site. The final layer of asphalt will be poured when all of the construction is complete. As we go inside the gymnasium, the lighting and the ventilation system have been installed, and so have the basketball hoops. You can actually play basketball there. They are leveling the concrete floor before they start laying the wood flooring. This is one of the classrooms. The stacks of wood there are for the ceiling. You can't really see it, but all the walls are painted. And they're installing the flooring throughout the building. And this is one of the hallways in the recreation building where they have installed the flooring. Looks really nice there. And good view of the recreation center. They are currently installing windows throughout the building. They are almost complete with installing all the interior windows. So this is what the recreation building looks like today, and this is what it will look like by the end of this calendar year. Just like that. This concludes my presentation, and I will be happy to entertain any questions.
I just have some positive comments to share with you. I'm going to share maybe later, but from first of all, great presentation, always great report. Thank you very much for that. And I was at Serrano Creek Park the other day, and I just wanted to say, I thought the landscaping on the slopes as you're walking paths closest to the street, I thought that it's really looking good. I just wanted to compliment you guys.
Okay.
I know it's a lot of work to maintain all the parks, and to actually walk and go, look at this beautiful landscaping. We have flowers, and I mean, it really looked good. So thank you for that.
I don't have any comments other than I'm just excited about the conclusion of this, and I can hardly wait.
I think the entire staff is excited, too.
No, I don't have anything further. It looks great. You guys the progress is amazing. It's cool.
And to sum up and echo, ditto on that part. And again, admiration to everybody on staff that's involved in the project and their oversight of the obviously well-chosen contractors that are doing this, because it's on schedule, if not a little bit ahead sometimes. Looking at some of your pictures, you answered the question saying they were about 3 weeks old. It's kind of now to the stage, in my personal opinion, that if you want to, you're having a bad day, take a drive by the sports park. Just go around. What you can see almost on a daily basis, from what you can see from the road, is progress and improvement, and that it's getting closer. And you showed a couple of pictures of like the ball fields and that. Well, coming over here, I did the drive-by and came around the loop, and fences are up, and trees have actually shown some growth that have been planted. So, for some of us who have waited decades or close to it, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Chair Rosenberg, if we could, we skipped over public comments. I don't know if we have any public.
He wants to talk about the transportation.
Oh, okay. Well, we actually have a public speaker.
Public speaker.
We do. I would like you to open for public comments. Chair Rosenberg, this public comment is on an item that's on our agenda, so we'll hold that.
Okay. All right. Would you give me a clue as to which one, then?
Transportation.
Okay, good. All right, so I will make a note that we have a public comment that time. Okay, moving forward, item number 2, the minutes. Just one comment, if I may make it on my part, and I'm sure it's just a typo. At the top with roll call, on the minutes, the chair and vice chair should be myself and Steve. And I know that's probably just a remains from previous occasion. Yeah. Colleagues, any other comments, corrections, or about the minutes? In that case,
I'll make
motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, please.
Okay, noted. A second?
Good.
Okay, at this point, we can use our buttons. We get to use our buttons, number 1.
Oh.
Please press the button to the left, okay? Thank you. Done. How wonderful.
We got it right.
We got it right. Okay. Done. Yes. Okay, our next item being, under discussion items, the Senior Mobility Program, to which we have a public comment. Shall we take the public comment first, or Vicki, after you make your presentation? Okay? Okay, just the basic parameters of our public comment sessions. 3 minutes. The yellow light comes on after 2. At 3, it's kind of like we ask you to wrap up. Please for the record, state your name and city of your residence. Without any other further ado, if our public comment speaker would come up.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I'm very disappointed at this. Basically, because of the importance that I feel about this item, transportation for seniors. I commend Vicki, Brenda, and any others who have spent endless hours working on this item. I am concerned, however, and I brought for your perusal tonight my Social Security for 2014, $970 a month. A lot of our seniors live on their Social Security. As I understand it from our meetings in the Senior Advisory Board meetings, what they're planning to do now is issue vouchers, basically for Lake Forest area only at $7. So, if I want to go to CVS or to Walgreens to pick up my prescription or prescriptions, I pay $7 to go over and pick up a $3.50 or more prescription, and then I pay $7 to get back home, $14. If you're like me and you're living on $970 a month Social Security, that's $14. I think that's a little exorbitant. And I would ask that as a commission that you subject this back to our manager and see if he could lower that maybe to $5. And for out of the area costs, instead of $10 or $12, $8 to $10. I just think that our seniors can't afford the $7, the $10, the $12. Red light's on. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. And I know typically, at best, there's a limited response, which I'm going to take, privilege of doing, and then say further comments after the report is given. I think your point, Captain Drinkwater, is very well taken. As far as this is an issue that affects a very large community, our seniors. It's more than 5 or 10 people by virtue of what comes regularly to attendance with the senior program. I had, again, kind of hoped that, knowing this was here, having read it, having been at the board meeting where it was discussed, was hoping more people would be here. And that's something that hopefully you and your 4 other board members can kind of help affect by encouraging people, especially when there's something on the agenda which is posted publicly a week before, to look at, and if there's issues, that's what all those seats are for. But I thank you for stepping up.
Chair Rosenberg, at this time, we'll have a brief report, and then we'll have a discussion.
First of all, thank you, Drink, for coming tonight. Much appreciated. I'm very pleased to bring you information on the expansion of our senior mobility program. A little bit of history behind the senior mobility program. It was started in 2002, and at that point in time, seniors were able to take the bus or taxi here, just here for our programs. So they go to their house, they pick them up, and they bring them here for our particular programs. It's 50 cents a trip to come here on the bus, and there's no fee charged for the taxi at this point in time. The taxi service basically is an overflow, so if there's not room on the bus, which takes about 14 people, then they're able to call the taxi, and the taxi will come bring them. Funding for the senior transportation program is provided by the OCTA and the city, along with Measure M2 funding, and those are allocated by the amount of population for the entire county. So they look at how many people are seniors in your city in comparison to the other areas within the county. The ridership for this past year was about 4,500 rides. So we're not talking about 4,500 people, we're talking about 4,500 rides. Like we say at the skate park, there's 60,000 people coming, or times going to the park. Similar with us, 4,500, about 370 rides per month. So for a lot of seniors, they really do use this program to get here to the clubhouse on a daily basis. So we were approached by OCTA administrators in the fall of 2013, and they basically told us if we do not spend the money that they have given to us, that we will have to pay that money back. So we took that as a chance to expand the program, because we really felt that there was a need for other things than just coming here to the senior clubhouse. That seniors need to go get their prescriptions, they need to be able to go to the doctors. Some seniors are fine and able to drive here within Lake Forest, but they don't want to go on the freeway. That concerns them, or they don't want to drive in the evenings. The change of light really concerns them. So we looked at what other cities around the area were doing with this Measure M2 requirement, and basically the survey said that the cities of Rancho Santa Margarita, Laguna Woods, Laguna Hills, and Mission Viejo offer 24/7 taxi service, and they were in the same scenario that we were. They didn't want to give back the money. They chose to expand their programs. So they offer taxi service to the doctor's appointments. They also offer taxi service for them to have social time as well. So take it out to dinner with their friends and those scenarios. And so that's what we really wanted to do. We felt that the social component was very important as well. So what we went forward and drafted a memo to the city manager, basically saying this is what we would like to do. That we want to expand the program to be able to offer 24/7 taxi service for seniors to get to doctor's appointments both here in Lake Forest and outside of the city limits, and drop off of prescriptions as well. And then for Lake Forest seniors for social outings within city limits. What we're trying to utilize for this financially is the amount of money that we would have left over from our normal bus service. And we looked at how much it would cost to go from one end of Lake Forest to the other end of Lake Forest, and that would be on the average of $33. So we looked then how much money we would be paying out of the monies that are left from the M2, and that's how we kind of came up with the idea of this is how much it would cost for an average person to be able to pay for this. If we went down in the amount of money we're asking them to give us, our concern is that we would run out of some of the money and we wouldn't be able to help as many people. So when we put this forward to the city manager, he was pretty happy with these numbers, I think. I don't remember him saying yes or no, or his big concern was that we were able to have a program that was sustainable. In other words, you give them this great new program, and 2 or 3 years from now, we're not able to do it because we run out of money. So that was his big concern. We found out that this Measure M2 monies, the bond measure goes through 2041. So monies will be coming through to 2041. So obviously, we're very excited about being able to offer the program, to have the seniors be able to go out and do other things than just come to the senior clubhouse. We are looking to launch the program after a test period, and the test period would be in April, and the Senior Advisory Board will be our testers. They're going to take the taxi rides and use the vouchers and let us know how it goes, and then we would launch it in May out to the general senior population, do marketing in the leisure times, do marketing through the register, through the patch, and here in the senior clubhouse. And I have already got a phone call from Sarah, who's now with the register, and asking for information because she wants to put an article within the paper as well. So let me see if I had anything else I wanted to let you know about. I think that was basically it, and I obviously would, if there's any questions that you would like me to answer about the program, that would be great.
And the only thing I would say is, because this item is a receive and file,
Yeah.
you can't take any action on it. If you wanted to make any recommendations such as related to the fees, then we'd have to bring it back at a further time. And what I would suggest is we give it a chance, and then if we want to make adjustments to any of the program, we would come back later. But for tonight, you're welcome to discuss, but there's no action that we can be taken.
We're looking to test it out, obviously, with the Senior Advisory Board, but then in our mind, because it's uncharted waters for us, we're not quite sure about the amount of response or not response we're going to be getting. In our mind, we're thinking we're going to have a huge response for this. There's a lot of seniors who don't want to do that driving on the freeway. They don't want to go to Mission Viejo to settle to the hospital. They don't want to drive to Irvine to Hogue. They would rather take the taxi service. So we can definitely revisit the financial end of this once we see it's launched and going.
Thank you, Vicki. Comments, starting with Jeff?
I guess the first question I would ask, when you guys went over the pricing, you didn't sit down with the Senior Advisory Board when you did that, is that correct?
We did initially when we were looking at the program. We did put out prices there. We didn't have a set amount at that point in time.
So let's say I wanted to push for a little bit lower money, and you guys will get mad at me.
Get mad.
Because I listen to what Trink said. I suspect that he represents the population there, and I think that just kind of playing with the numbers in my mind is, if let's say you're fear that we run out of money for the year, is there a discretionary fund that we can use of the city's budget? Can we request that? How would we? So
that was specifically told to us by the city manager, that it stays within the financial realm of what we already have within the program. There is no way for us to go to council and ask them to bring us. I mean, I guess we could, but his directive was stay within the monies that you have.
But since I'm going to say, I'd like to ask him why we can't do that, because we have surplus money, right? And this is a very good program. This is something that is hard to, in my opinion, and we're talking about a couple bucks. And I know it adds up if you're talking about $4,000, but certainly there's a pretty good way to spend our money, and I think it meets a need. And if we're talking about just playing with the numbers, I would recommend, say, for the Lake Forest, dropping it down to $5. I don't see why the Laguna Woods South County Orthopedic Services is any different than the cost for Saddleback Hospital, for example. I'd drop that down to $10. I can live with the $14 for Kaiser and for Mission Hospital, but I think that's fair.
What I would recommend is that we take it back to the Senior Advisory Board at their next meeting. There's a trial period here that has to take place. I don't know when your next meeting is, but then they could discuss it and maybe look at the fees and come back with a recommendation. Then we can proceed from there. But tonight, I understand what you're saying, but we can't take any action on it.
No, I understand that. But I mean, here,
I understand.
Who's one of our Senior Advisory Board members, so I'm going to assume that he's representing, and so.
We should. We'll get their recommendation based on.
Okay.
They had to kind of float trial balloon.
No, and I do understand, and honestly, this is awesome.
Yeah,
And I don't want to start off with the negative.
No
This
worries.
is a great program. I'm so happy to see this. But just hearing that if we could drop the price just a little bit, and that would make a difference, and I think that's what Drink's telling us, then I'm listening to that, and I'd like to meet that need if that's possible. So that's all I'm asking for. But this is very cool. I'm very happy with this, and so if we can just maybe tweak that a little bit, or if we can play with it, you can do this. But certainly, I think it's worth bringing up, and I know with some of the city manager has to talk about, but I still think there is a discretionary fund somewhere in the budget. I'm positive that I run budgets. I know that there is, and so I know that nobody will admit that. But if we needed to pour some extra money into it, there's a way to figure it out. There always is, and so I would push for that. And so probably not going to make me popular with the city manager, but I think that's fair. So anyway, I like this. This is a very good report. Thank you, Vicki.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I think it's a great program. So that's all.
Yeah, we're very excited about starting it, and we will go ahead and, as you're saying, launch the program, go forward with our testing period, revisit, definitely Drink at the next meeting. Would you like us to put it on the agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay, we can put it on the agenda, and we'll revisit the pricing. No worries.
And one other option, I know we don't do this a lot, if it's possible to maybe make up for some of the funds, are there any public, like is Yellow Cab willing to put some money forward towards it? Do you know what I mean? Because they're getting a lot of business out of this.
Doesn't hurt to ask, definitely. Our main force with the sustainability is to making sure that we can continue the program for a longer period of time.
Absolutely.
So if, when you go out and ask for help from different businesses, a lot of times it's an initial small part.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that we can sustain for as long as possible.
Okay.
But there's definitely different funding sources you
Sure.
can look at.
Okay.
I feel comfortable with this direction, though, launching and revisiting the costs, definitely. We have been working on this since probably November. So to get it off the ground is right there is a big step.
Sure.
Definitely, yeah.
No, like I said, I think it's great. So, but that's all. Okay, thank you.
Victor?
Yeah, I have one comment. If the concern, and I understand the concern of limited funds, and the concern is from the city manager's perspective, well, I don't
Correct.
want to start a program if it's not sustaining. I mean,
Exactly.
the worst case scenario is we start a program and say, oops, we've out of
That was
funding.
our exact, were you at our meeting,
We're
Victor?
stopping the program.
Were you at our meeting? Because that's the exact conversation we were having, yeah.
Well, I'm familiar with the thinking process here. So the challenge is not that we agree or disagree it's a great program. Of course it's a great program. Obviously the seniors are going to react to it. Seems to me that part of how we should be looking at this is downshift the scope of the program to be more conservative and limit the number of alternatives, because the cost is driven by distance, miles. I mean, let's face it, cost of gas, maintenance, taxis, on a per mile basis. So if you look at, and where's the starting point? Let's say from City Hall, starting, or the amount of mileage of wherever their residence might be to the destination. So you negotiated a flat fee, from what I see here, in terms of specific locations.
Correct.
However, if you stay within the city limits, it's a flat fee, and then it varies based on 5 different destinations. So I don't know how many of the seniors will go to these other 4 places outside the city limits. My thinking is to start off with, because we don't know how this is going to work. We don't know how many seniors are going to be jumping in. We don't have any track record on this, is to maybe take the funds and make it ultra reasonable for within the city limits, for example, and maybe focus on lowering the cost within the city limits. Then say, okay, let's take a look at how much demand would we have for these other 4 areas? I mean, Laguna Woods, South County, orthopedic, Saddleback, who knows? But it seems to me we should be maybe thinking about kicking it off on the low end of the rate schedule to attract interest, so someone, I can't afford that, so I'm not going to even bother, and scares people away from the program. Whereas maybe from a marketing perspective, start ultra low to begin with, and then add destinations later once we get some track record of success. Because I view this as quite aggressive. I mean, it's nice, but I'm amazed at what a taxi cab costs, because I don't take a cab. I mean, I'm looking at this thing. You mean to tell me it's $33 one way?
Yes.
Or $18
Yes.
one way to the hospital?
Yes.
That's one way.
One way. We originally when we originally looked at the program, we were thinking about places that we knew that seniors would be going mainly for medical outside of this area, and we really wanted to take them to the Vets Hospital in Long Beach until we found out it would be $110 from Lake Forest to get them there, one way.
Yeah.
So,
See, I'm more concerned about it. If we get too aggressive, we're going to run out of money. And the worst thing you can do on a public
That's what-
relations
yes.
is stop the program.
Exactly.
That's what the city manager is probably nervous about, because we haven't done this before.
right.
And we really don't know what we're walking into, because we don't know what the demand's going to be. We don't know anything. So I like the idea of the pilot, so to speak, going through the steps. But that doesn't answer the question, well, how do you know how many seniors are going to be taking
We won't
advantage?
know until-
So we won't know until we try it.
Till we try it.
And that's why I'm a little bit I'm nervous to be too aggressive. I would rather game the program in such a way that we have a high probability it's going to be successful and we stay within a reasonable budget. And that's the only thing I wanted to verbalize from my experience just in business.
Oh, yeah.
When you're running a new program and you've got a lot of bumps in the road we don't know about, I would rather be ultra conservative first and then gradually ramp it up as we get a better feel for what the needs are. Thank you.
Loretta?
Okay. All right, I know this has been a long program coming.
Oh, yes.
Because I've talked to, Sandy and others about it, and Beverly. So I'm glad we're ramping up for it. I do agree with drink. I think $7 is a little high. And I still can't believe it's $33. It's just,
We're a very long city.
yes, we are. Then now, are you familiar with the Uber program? Yeah, because that is now started in Orange County, and I was just, I don't think, huh? Yeah, I mean, because I've used it, and it worked fine. You know, it was a little scary, but it worked. It worked great.
Maybe you could explain. It's an online service where
It's- yeah.
private drivers will pick you up.
Right, there are people that have volunteered, and they've gone through extensive background checks, and they basically drive their own cars.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like the taxi service, and it is all done online.
But you have to pay for it.
You have to pay for it, but it's done ahead of time with the credit card, whatever.
But I don't know I don't know what the fees are. If they're
They had a starting fee. I think Jeff had gotten like a $20 credit, and I think for me to come home from like Saddleback Hospital one evening, it was like $8.
oh wow.
You know, so it wasn't that bad. And
We'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
And the gentleman wouldn't even let me tip him. You know, and it literally was service to service.
Yeah.
You know, picked me up right at the end of my meeting and drove me straight home. And what was good about it is that Jeff could literally track exactly where I was on his phone. And I wasn't even out of the car yet, and the guy was coming around to open the door, and Jeff's calling me. I see you're already home. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, and then okay. And he said, call me when you get in the house. I'm like, fine. And it was just, it was my first time doing it. It was a little scary because I hadn't done it. My son had done the whole thing for me, but it worked fine. But I'm just saying it's an alternative. I'm not saying it's going to work exactly for this kind of a program, but
It's another resource.
it's another resource. Right.
Definitely.
Can the seniors double up
Yes.
and then
Yes.
share the cost?
They can
Like-
have as many people as they can fit
fit.
in the taxi with seat belts on.
36 people with it.
You
Right.
could have 4 people going.
Yeah.
You could have a little party.
Exactly. You could have 4 people going, and then somebody meeting somebody at the other end, and then they all get a ride home.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
well,
as many
that's
people
good.
as can fit in the taxi.
All right, well, I do agree with all of my fellow commissioners. They've all made excellent comments, and I would like to, as Gary recommended, this is receive and file. I would like to see the fee lowered,
Okay.
and some of the other suggestions I think have been very helpful.
We'll bring
And
them.
they're, and of course, look into Uber. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, last but not least, or least but not last, I was at the Senior Advisory Board meeting when this was presented, and I knew the report was coming. And looking through it at my own leisure, I fully understood why it was received and filed at this point, because it's trial balloon starting up. And but I'm to some extent concerned by hearing comments that immediately say, and I'm sensitive to the income issues that seniors face, but by the same token, there has to be some kind of, call it fair market value or whatever. I mean, I've heard comments from my colleagues that in the same breath, on one side it says lower it, on the other side says keep it, because it's new and sustainability and things like that. I think from what I've heard, we do have some history. We have some numbers of trips that have been taken, et cetera, et cetera. But my main, and I understand we're a long city, my main confusion, I'm going to use that term because that's really how I wound up after looking at and trying to understand the numbers, okay? And I'm not going to belabor it to a point up here, but I think it might be worthwhile. I'd be happy to come in and, convenient time to answer some questions and then we share them. Is Lake Forest, okay, it's a long city. Estimated trip cost $33 in Lake Forest, okay? Mission Viejo is pretty long and pretty wide. You can go 7 miles more in the width in Mission. It's 25. Okay, Laguna Hills is smaller, obviously, but half the size. I guess.
These were the estimates given from OC Taxi. So they were they gave
Okay.
us as this estimates from
Right.
center of Lake Forest to that specific location.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm not, kind of really debating it at this point, but maybe we need to call it a third party. Does OC Taxi do these also, the other cities?
OC Taxi is the taxi service that we use currently.
No, I know
Yeah.
we use them. I know
Oh,
we use them.
I
but-
don't know I don't know what taxi
Okay,
service
it's
the other
just,
cities
I'm
use.
just, again,
Yeah.
just throwing something out that
Yeah.
we can have a good conversation on, because, if they're the incumbent, very often, typically, let's not change, let's kind of, this is good, it's working,
Yeah.
maybe these other companies have a different basis for cost. I heard Loretta's example and Loretta lives in the middle of, if I can call it Lake Forest, of the other service, it's charging $8 to get her home. Well, 7's cheaper than 8. I mean, if we want to, cut some, thing. So it's that, and then looking at the back of it, in some of the cities, it's this real wide scope of from really low to where you might look at it and say, how would I really want to do it? That's what it really costs me. So, I think very well put. We need to receive and file this at this time. We need to, as you talked about at the senior meeting, we need to initiate the trial, because it's kind of a new system, a new methodology, and see if it works and if seniors are comfortable with it. Because if not, then we're just shooting ourselves in the right or left foot. And then maybe look a little bit more at these numbers and see if we can get some,
definitely.
you know, other input and comparison, and really understand this. Then we can make, maybe from us, or through the senior board to us, jointly, whatever, we can make some meaningful recommendations that are acceptable to the city and the city manager. Because I totally agree, you don't want to offer it now and suddenly 3 years from now, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And
Right.
unfortunately, there's no more money for it.
Right.
So, you know, I think it's a work in progress, like so many other things are. And it's a great start. I know the amount of work that's been put into it, and it's a tremendous amount of work. And to just kind of just vet these numbers. And, you know, I mean, go out like a stalking horse with another taxi company and say, if we were to do something like this, what would be your numbers for these kind of services? And then when we have that kind of input, then we can make, if it's needed, we make a decision. And we might find that the other service that is cheaper in another city, while they may take 3 people going to 2 different places, and it involves stops, you know, or something like
Exactly.
that we don't
Right.
know about, as
Right.
opposed to dedicated portal to portal. Like
Right.
that. So I'll conclude it with that, and I guess recommend that we just receive and file, and then,
We will add it to the agenda for our next meeting. Drink.
right, and then maybe before that, we can, because that's like a month and a half, you know, have some time to just kind of post some questions on it, look through it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank
I
you.
buy lunch normally, so they get you out of the office. But, okay, again, super. It's again, and just another thing that we're doing moving forward with this program. You have a question? You have a question?
I have a question.
Okay?
Are these fees, we're talking about a single rider going from point A to point B, correct?
Or as many that can get in the cab?
Or as many people at point A who's happened, well, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is part of the thinking process is, can you look at multiple stops within a,
No.
or you have to go from point A to point B?
It's a cab service.
The cab.
It's a cab, it's not a bus service.
No.
So you can't
No.
do a hybrid or something?
No.
Okay.
Well, in our program right now, no, you can't. Other cities have what they call mini stops, where they can take you to the doctor, then they'll stop.
Okay.
But those fees are different than this. In our bottom line of getting the program started is we wanted to make this as simple
All right.
as possible with the voucher program, and then be able to add those other benefits of, yeah, okay, I need to go to the dry cleaner. I need to go, that we wanted to add those for later. Yeah, simple as possible now, but that service is offered in other cities. Yes.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so thinking this through, and I think these guys had some really good points. Have we considered, going along the line with what Jim was saying, actually going to the cab company and saying, hey, can we have a fixed cost within the city? Because a fixed cost, some may be $33.
Or that's an average cost.
These are average
Yeah,
costs. So
yeah.
I'm saying, that if let's say we paid them $30, $3 cheaper than what we're talking about, right? Because on average, right? Because or actually, I would say 25. Because from point A to point B and from city to city is the thing, but because I think a fixed cost makes everybody's life easier from an accounting standpoint as well too. And that way we could take some of that savings and then help out the participants.
We could ask them that, but if it's an average cost, then what we're looking at is they basically will bill us at the end of the month, and so that $33 sometimes may be $33, and sometimes I don't know. We'd have to look at it. We'd have to look at it. But, I mean, we can look at that. We definitely can look at that.
Well, because I think we're talking about a vendor cost, right? So I think if you went back to...
Yeah, you would have to go. I can't answer you for sure. I'd have to check.
So I guess my question is there rules of how we have to spend the money?
Yes.
Yeah.
And currently, we do have taxi service. When the bus is full, there is taxi service, and we pay them on the actual mileage, and that's the report that we have to submit every month.
Right.
And pay on is the actual mileage.
But if
It's
we
not an
negotiate a fixed cost with the taxi service, so if you say, okay, within the city limits, we only every trip is worth $30, right? And that's what the voucher cost is, or would that be a deal killer for us because the 30?
Well, we could certainly ask the cab company. I don't know what, I can't speak on their behalf. Right now, as far as I know, it sounds like we would have to go with the actual mileage. I don't know if there is a rule in the agreement, but I'm imagining for their bookkeeping, they want to see actuals. But we can certainly ask.
See, I don't know that they would, because when you look at...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it's like a car service. So if you, like, when you travel, if you get a town car to pick up, it's a flat fee, right? And that's what a lot of these services, it's actually easier accounting for them to do. And so...
Then to go up and down, up and down.
Yeah, and that way they say, okay, look, I've got 5 trips. Each trip is $25. Here's $25 bill.
Yeah.
It's easy.
However, the nature of cabs is they're based on the mileage. It's all mileage.
Right.
Yeah. So it's two different things, but
I've done this because I've transported patients through cab companies, and they will do a fixed cost. So, and the other thing is, to Jim's point, if they're not going to be user-friendly, or we can ask them to reduce their fee a little bit because we're giving them a bulk of work, we do look at other vendors. And
as far as I know, are there other vendors?
I don't know that.
There are other vendors in the area. This is the vendor we use right now.
Right.
My main trepidation with trying to, I would not have a trepidation with asking them for the fixed fee. My trepidation with going through negotiations at this point in time is the stopping of moving the program forward.
I agree.
Yeah, that's my main thing is I really want it to get the program going.
Right.
So the fact of getting it going and then going back
Right.
And renegotiating the deal.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we could set it off going.
See where we are.
Yeah.
See where we are, but
And I think that's a good plan. I like your plan of starting off, seeing what works, and then kind of reevaluating. But I'm just kind of thinking out loud and brainstorming. Okay, so what are some of the ways we can do that?
I'm very appreciative of those thoughts because those are the negotiation part of it is not something that I had initially considered. And looking at other companies, it's not something we considered at. We would have to look at contracts and all those other things. But it is very strict in the reporting portion of it because it is basically a grant. So so we have to keep track of all that.
And that's a straight invoice based on what you negotiate with the cab company.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually pretty easy to do, and I think this is all doable, and certainly there's a lot of good options here. So I think you're on the right track, and like I said, I want to, for the participants, help them out as much as we can. So, and I know
we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much so. Yes.
Okay. So, all right. Sorry, not too much.
Okay. Moving on to our recreation report.
That's me again.
Yep.
I actually have just 3 items for the month of February. The first being we had, as the staff of facility reservation training, we have a recreation software that we use that does all of our registration and does all our facility booking. We regrouped with the company Active Software for a 3-day intensive training where we went in and have set up all of the rooms and fields at the new sports center and recreation center. So we're able to now book those as soon as we have the fees attached to them. We also went back and re-looked at some of the facilities and parks that we already use that have already been basically administratively put in there and retooled those. So it was really a very good training session. We really got to know the facility very well. If you walk down Rec Row right now, there's a outline of the facility and how it's all broken up in class, and it was just very exciting seeing, okay, we're really going to use this thing now. So that was very cool. The second thing I wanted to talk about was our free Aarp Tax Aid, each year that we've had this program, it's grown with the amount of participants that come take advantage of the program, and we are book solid with 120 people scheduled for tax appointments. We don't have any more space unless somebody cancels. So that is a wonderful service that we're able to offer. I think it's the city of Rancho Santa Margarita and possibly Mission Viejo that are not offering this free service this year. So we offered it to our residents first so that they could have the use of it. And then if there's any spots open, we were able to give it to other residents as well. And the last one I have on my list to talk about, I'm going to talk about a little bit, but I'm going to let Jim take over. Because I'm going to talk about the Mardi Gras, Let the Good Times Roll party. So this is the first time we've done, well, we always do our quarterly dinners, but we wanted to have a new theme. And so we did Mardi Gras this year. And the biggest concern of that week was not that the party and not the food, but the fact that it was supposed to be the storm of the century that Friday night. And we were all concerned that the seniors were not going to be coming out because of the weather. And thank gosh, they all came out. And we had, for this particular quarterly dinner, not only a great time, but we had 4 special guests who I heard were just took over the dance floor and made all the seniors feel so welcome, and just we're so happy to be here and dance with the seniors. So, Jim, you want to talk about our 4 guests?
Yeah.
Was it 4 or 5? There's 4, right?
4. There was
Yeah.
4. I'll talk about that as opposed to during comments. And again, thank you for the way you featured it in the recreation report and the picture and that. And tonight it'll get scanned and sent down.
Oh, good.
As a lot of stuff from the city's going on, I'll talk about. I had this sitting there kind of thinking, which can be dangerous, an idea that the senior dinner dances are really a lot of fun. I mean, they're well put on, greatly executed. I mean, we've seen the food not come till 2 hours later, and nobody
They still
missed
have
the
fun, though.
beat.
They
and,
still love
and
it.
yada, yada, yada. Well, to comment on the theme, it was great. They outdid themselves decorating.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
it's
had
the
so
best
much fun
decorated I've
doing
ever seen it. The people were the best decorated. I mean, these people had costumes and the whole bit. Well, kind of before that, I came up with this idea of, gee, what would it be like to invite a small number of Marines from our adopted unit up to come up and dance? And didn't tell anybody about it, and made a phone call to the Sergeant Major and prefaced it quite eloquently by saying, feel free to tell me if this is not something that
crazy.
Marines will do. Do not mince words. Make sure I understand if the answer is no, and I can live with it. And he listened to me, and a short pause, and he said, no, Jim, we can do that, very quietly. I said, great. And that was like on a Friday. We had our committee meeting next Tuesday, and I dropped the bombshell about this harebrained idea. You could have heard a pin drop in the room. One of the committee members that I think very highly of, and we've become good friends in a very short time, looked at me and said, Jim, the next time you have a harebrained idea, please run it by this committee. Okay? So I sought some refuge and solace in our director, and he had a very black and white opinion. It's either going to be a bomb or it's going to be great.
Great, right.
There was no, hopefully it'll be fun and things like that. So anyway, we got here. The one guy came by himself. The other 3 drove together. And we were talking with him. We kind of had a table where we'd all kind of sit together and do this thing. And the 3 guys then came in, and they saw their buddy, and the table was kind of in the middle of the room, and they were walking towards it in a single file, and a lady sitting, like there were 2, a table in between and one over, suddenly said, perked up, she did. She spotted the last one in line and said, honey, you come over here, sit by me.
I know exactly.
At that point, I knew there was hope, okay? While the sit by me character, and I've mentioned this to anybody I've talked to about it, if I was in the entertainment business, I would sign this young guy to a personal contract. He was that good About 45 minutes into it, I texted Gary and I said, Dancing Marines equals awesome. His text came back about 2 minutes later, we're on our way. So I have a witness that it was absolutely fabulous. Loretta was there, right. The interesting part at the end of the evening talking to them, it wasn't like trying to ask leading questions. They were very open and honest. And one guy said the only concern we kind of had in the car of three, talked about coming up, that it might be just a bunch of slow dancing all night long. Well, he obviously didn't know the kind of DJs we have,
Right.
the programming.
Yeah.
So he was extremely happy. All four of them asked to come back.
Oh, good. Oh, that's
And I have,
wonderful.
it wasn't just being nice, because they were debriefed when they got,
Yeah.
the sergeant major in a subsequent conversation confirmed, yes, all four of them do want
Good.
to come back.
That's, yeah.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah. And, I mean, they represented themselves, the unit, and everything extremely well. And it was just, it was like fabulous. And the people enjoyed it, and we had a number of people that wanted to now get involved and
Oh,
write
that's-
letters.
that's
and,
great.
Consequently, one other quick comment with the Senior Advisory Board, one of the members, Beverly Ford, has stepped up to kind of be a liaison and an active member of the committee. She was here that night, too, and I think that went a long way in
And connect
kind
with
of
them.
connecting them. And they're, with what we plan to do, the seniors are a vital part because of the things they can do, like the letter writing and
Exactly.
the gift packages and things like that. So, yeah, it was fabulous. I can't wait till the next one. So,
It was one of your best harebrained ideas.
yeah, I know. I've had a lot of them. So, yeah, it's a percentage thing. 1 out of 100 every now and then you win. So, yeah, it was great.
That ends my report, unless you have any other questions.
Anybody?
No, great.
Yeah, I will echo that. Great. We'll receive and file that one and come to our director's report.
Angel gave a good update on our capital projects. And the only thing I'd like to mention, I hope you all got a flyer on the California, and that's a free training that's available in Tustin, so you could RSVP yourself. I'd recommend it. So other than that, I don't have anything. We also put an ALF request on your, so it's possible this person may turn up at a meeting sometime. They're interested in improvements to Lake Forest Park. We did put up, and during the shade structure program, we put up some shade there, but there's not a lot of amenities at that park, so.
May I speak on that?
Sure.
All right. The history on this park is originally the neighbors did not want any of this park. And that was actually the whole reason why I got involved and applied for
Really?
Parks and Rec. Yeah. Yeah. That they literally wanted nothing, and well, no. That's why you got that little playground in there, was because we kind of rallied and said, no, we want this. It is small. And that was the compromise at the time with the neighbors that were there. They didn't want anything, not one grain of sand for a sandbox, nothing. So that's why it is what it is. It's come a long way. I mean, I know the La Madera uses that park extensively for a lot of end of the year parties, or I don't know what they call them anymore, outings. Like they'll have a sports day out there for the different classes and things. So that's why it's what it is. Yeah, I was there.
Anyways, that concludes my comments, other than also thought the conference was good conference, and I hope you all enjoyed it. It came out. And with that, I'll conclude.
Loretta, a question back to this FYI.
Yes.
That you gave with the history, which didn't know. I always figured it was a typical, when they gave Parkland at the time, it was one, find an unusual place you can't build a house, which that one fits the bill. Maybe the people from Kavanaugh Park area moved up to there. Brings a chuckle to Gary from the, we want nothing either, so to include you guys, get out. So, all right, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Victor, how about yourself? Sure. Okay.
Well, I just have to tell you how much I'm getting a kick out of the senior activities, so you'll see me frequently as much as I can. I want to put a plug in for the Heritage Hill. We're running several hundred children through the park on planned activities, all on volunteer effort. As a matter of fact, I'm jumping in to conduct some of the children that come in. This morning we had 60 children come in to the park from a variety of school districts. And we have a set hands-on program where the children are involved with the history of each of the 4 buildings there. And these are third graders, fourth graders, I should say, fourth graders for the most part. Yeah, and they have already had some history already from their teacher, so when they come in, they're pretty excited. But it's all hands-on. It's not a lecture. It's not. They're actually involved with a variety of activities. So I invite your department to take a hard look at what has been accomplished over the years there. And it's non-funded. It's strictly on volunteer. All the materials are donated by the volunteers. We put it together. So I want to extend an invitation to have you take a look. It's during the week. It runs about 9:30 till about 11:30. In the month of April, we have 3 sessions scheduled, scattered through the month. I can give you the dates at the end of the meeting. But I'd like to have at least an understanding of what we're doing, because we're actually conducting a park program, essentially. Yeah, we're actually a park, is what we are, but we're doing it kind of under the, sort of in the closet, That's maybe a bad term. But what I'm saying is we're growing this program over the years, 11 years that I've been involved with the park, and now it's huge. So we are suffering from growth pains because we obviously don't have enough manpower to do all the things we want to do. But I thought, gee, this might be an opportunity to have the P&R city to take a look at what we're doing, and maybe we can do some things jointly or whatever, because you all have volunteer capabilities too. But also to get input from you all as to, because we're growing this thing, it's huge. We got buses coming from Saddleback districts, Irvine districts that actually come into the park because we service all the Saddleback Valley. And this program has evolved over the years. Now we're just getting saturated, which is a good thing. So we actually have, let's say, 4 volunteer docents to come in to run each week. We have these programs. It's running about every other week. Yeah, I have the dates. I'll give it to you at the end of the session. I'm becoming much more active during the week because I have a schedule that allows me to do that. But also on the weekends, we're seeing an upsurge of adult walk-in tours. Now, these children tours are on reservation. They'll call in. I think they charge like $2 or something, some very low rate, whatever. Then the park collects that revenue. And then the volunteers put together their own materials and, the curriculum. Because it is a curriculum. It's not just bring them into the building and talking to them. They have specific activities that they participate in. So I wanted to comment on what we're doing, because it just occurred to me, I said, oh my gosh, we got a park here that's not really a park from your definition. I mean, it's not budgeted or anything. But it's becoming to the point where we're averaging a huge amount of traffic, and during the Christmas season, and we have over 1,500 people that come through the park. Now, it's a county park. So, it's not that I expect the city to be concerned about a county park, but at the same time, it's one of the most active volunteer groups that we have in the county, resident and domiciled right in the city of Lake Forest. Yeah, thank you.
Jeff? That'll change your world.
Okay. Just a couple of things. Great report, and again, I do like the senior transportation program. I think that's really neat. So I had a couple questions. I know with the as we're getting closer to the sports park opening up, are we going to, I assume, probably Rob, I guess, or who will be running the programs, and are they going to present them to us, and will we give input, or how is that going to work?
What we are anticipating is at the end of March, there'll be an in-house recruitment for the supervisor position at the sports park.
Okay.
The distinction between a senior recreation coordinator and a supervisor in our department is that they're in charge of a major facility. So right now we have one, and that'd be Nick at the skate park.
Right.
So we're going to have an opening and an in-house recruitment at the end of this month, and then we'll announce whoever is chosen, and then they'll move ahead. We wanted to get them on board ahead of time so that they can start planning. So
Okay.
we would bring them to you, and yeah, you'd certainly be able to. I'm sure they would. We're putting together as we go also an operating plan and what kind of programs and all those things, and we would. I would imagine we would have them attend here on a monthly basis to report on what's going on.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. So when that happens, we should have somebody by the April or May meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I had a strange question. When I was looking at the videos with the snack bar, will the city run the snack bar, or will it be like, say, when Little League is running Little League, they'll run the snack bar like we do over at Heroes?
It's the exact same arrangement.
Okay, so
We have
it'll
them
be that sort
sign
of
it.
thing.
We'll have a refrigerator, an ice maker, and then the leagues supply everything else. We'll give them a key. It's their place. It's like at Heroes, the same thing.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And so we have one at each end, one for the baseball people, one for the soccer people.
Right, okay, and that's what I just wasn't sure.
The offices will be used by staff,
Okay,
and also one of the offices is going to be used by the sheriffs as a substation for that part of town. Yeah. But they'll have, officers will be there, access to that.
I think that'd be great, actually. I think that's a benefit. And then, I don't recall from the plans, I was looking at the pictures, this is a very specific question, so I hope, Gary, you're thinking caps on. Do we have covers over the dugouts on the baseball fields? Like, is there a roof? A shade protection is what I'm...
I'll have to look on the plans myself.
I don't recall that when I was looking at that, because that would be really nice to have, I can tell you, from being out on the baseball field all weekend.
I'll check in tomorrow with the project manager over there and see what they have planned.
Yeah, not a big deal. Just when I was looking at the slides, a couple of things I keep meaning to ask you about, I thought I could just ask. But anyway, again, as always, great reports, and I think I'm going to have to start going to the senior events because it sounds like they're way more fun than I'm having at home, and so so that's all for me tonight. Thanks.
I just think fabric you should put it there, but I can't. I don't know off the top.
All right, first of all, I have something for Jeff from CPRS. This is, since you weren't able to attend, I did my best at collecting tchotchkes for you. Yeah, so. I got a good, show it off then. Oh, yeah, those were hard to come by, I'll let you know. Yeah. I think you got all kinds of good stuff in there. Anyway, I'm going to start with the Mardi Gras dance. I thought was fabulous. I had such a good time. I probably danced every dance, and it was so... The DJ, by the way, love that DJ. I know you've heard me say that before, but he really is the best. Yeah, he really does. I'll do a little comparison. I was invited to Mom and Dad's dinner for St. Patrick's Day at their clubhouse, and they had one little guy up there doing his little, figure out which DJ song he was going to play, and then they had another guy kind of singing to them. And I said, let's do YMCA. And they're like, what? What? Oh, okay. It wasn't good. I'm sorry. But, well, yeah. Anyway. So, thank you. And I didn't talk to Karen this afternoon, whatever it was, about, she says she invites the papers and every time, and no one shows up. I'm going to do a little play, show and tell. As you know, my mom and dad are dancers. This is the Redlands Daily Fact, has done an entire, big screen thing on front page of their section, and this is my mom and dad. Mom and dad go to they live in Menifee, but they go to all the different senior centers, and they dance wherever there's a dance, and here's mom and dad. And, it would be great if we can get that kind of publicity for us, because we're just as good. So I'm gonna pass this along in case anybody wants to see mom and dad. They even have coordinating Valentine outfits. This is my mom and dad. Yes, so I just wanted to pass that along. And I truly hope that we get, the press out there realizes what wonderful programs we have, and to really emphasize the positive instead of some of the negative. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about CPRS since you have your goodie bag down there. It was really great, the area for all the tchotchkes and the vendors and stuff. And I just want, I had a great time, and I want to thank, I guess, our city council for letting us go, or, providing that opportunity, and that I could take advantage of all those excellent, not only the classes, but a chance to just meet and greet other people. And one of the things I learned talking to people, and this wasn't even Rita. I know Rita. I think it was the gentleman from San Jose. He's working for Parks and Rec up there. Of course, they're having a lot of theft with the copper being stolen. Well, they also said they're taking the brass plaques now, the big brass plaques. So I would like to recommend that we have some kind of documentation of what the brass plaques say that we have in the city. The reason being for, now that theirs are gone, they can't remember what was on them. You go by them every day, and you go, oh yeah, that's the memorial for da-da-da-da-da, but the exact wording or something like that, and the names, exactly. Like some of these cities are they're not as young as we are, and they tried to go back and look that stuff up, and it's not there. So I would like to recommend, that you guys do that. Not that we have a lot of brass plaques.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you talking, there's the memorial plaques for the trees. Other than that, I don't believe we put dedication plaques up.
Well, still, I'm just saying, probably take a picture if you have them,
We'll,
and any future ones.
We are putting one at the sports room.
Yeah, so make sure you take a picture of it and store it in your archives, because let's hope that doesn't happen. But it could. It happened there. Honestly, who would have thought? Anyway, so here's some of the classes that I took, duct tape makes life better. And you think, really? But it was a lot of getting to know your neighbor kind of a thing. It was a lot of teamwork, and I loved it. I was really, and people look at me like, you took a duct tape class? Yes. And you know what? Every person I was in that class with, through the whole conference, I ran into them. We all knew each other, and we all said hi to each other. We're like, oh yeah, duct tape class. So I felt like I had a whole new bunch of friends there, just from that duct tape class. Next was Politics of Parks and Recreation. Win-win is the desired outcome. That was another excellent one that Rita took with me. And, Rita was the Ontario Parks and Rec Commissioner that was there, and very energetic. She loves Ontario, and she's very energetic. Yes. So that was a very, very good one. Best of the best. Did you guys have a chance to go to that? Yes, and that's all of the CPRS winners. Was excellent. And then, of course, I attended the reception at the Plains of Fame Air Museum, which was another great event, because not only did we have a chance to meet new people at the different tables. We also got a chance to see the old airplanes. So that was very good. And do we ever have any trips out there?
I don't know, we'll check in, but I think it'd be a good place to go.
And then the Chino Air Museum, the Chino Air Show is in May. So I don't know if anybody wants to go there. I'd set up something for that. Anyway. Then day 2, Parks and Rec, I did Making the Healthy Choice, the Easy Choice in Recreation. And I have to say, Baldwin Park has taken the healthy choice above and beyond. Really, they've all, anything that's in any of their vending machine is all the healthy stuff, and they were surprised. It wasn't the kids that complained, it was the adults. Like, where's the soda? Well, guess what? Anyway, so that was, my hat is off to Baldwin Park, and the initiative they have put in place as a city. They've even, any new kind of construction that has a fast food, they cannot have a drive-through unless they purchase a property that already has a drive-through. That's how they're really stepping up, and I have to applaud them for that. Next, connecting communities through Playful Pathways, which was PlayCorps, and their idea was, how we have parks and playground equipment, and then we have benches for the parents. Now they're saying everybody needs to get out and move. Of course, we know that, but they're making it so the pathways lead to smaller little pocket areas of playground stuff, or like maybe a butterfly kind of a, with some toys and having the whole thing about the butterflies. Then you go on to another thing, maybe they've got grasshoppers, whatever. But it's all about moving and going forward, and it's exciting for the kids and the parents and anybody else. Let's see, taking an ethical stand, that one was really good. That was the City of Bell manager that gave that session. That was very, very good, yes. Enhancing active living through park design, I think Jim and I took that one. That's just what it says. We got to sit at the table with the San Diego students, which was very interesting. They're great kids. Friday, I did the Better Business Model with Jeff Price, and it was all about marketing, and it was excellent, and how to market and market positively, and just, anyway, I have it in my notes if you guys want anything. Next was Strategies for Influencing Chief Executives. It was done by the retired city manager, Dr. Frank Benest. Another well done, where they all got us in groups, and they're like, hey, you're solving this problem and how you're going to get that passed, and it was more teamwork and things like that. It was very good. And then I did the Senior Tsunami Flash Talks, and they had the gal that runs the Oasis Senior Center in Newport, and one of the gals that does, she gave a talk on marketing. She works for the Irvine Seniors. And then also congregate meals program. And the problem with, a lot of the seniors that come to their senior centers, they get their lunch and meal, and that's the only meal they get. And how they're trying to make ends meet, and how, the costs are rising and everything. It was a real eye-opener. And, afterwards I should have said, our senior advisory people should have gone on the board for the board members. Because they really had some very, very good sessions that I think they could have benefited from as well. Something to think about, And I mentioned this already, but I want my session, my comments. Serrano Creek Park is looking really, really well with their whole landscaping. I was just so impressed with that. And I was walking with my friend, and I'm like, look at how good this stuff looks. And then I was at Senior Today, what they call it, Chinese Feast. Excellent. And I sat at a different table today, and everyone was so welcoming and so kind, and making sure I knew what bingo one we were playing today, and just kind of making sure I was doing okay with the bingo, which is very appreciated as always. And I also stopped at the Teen Lounge when I was here, because they were, you could hear these cheering going on, and I went over there. I think they're at capacity in that room. And they said, oh, this is a light day. She said, yeah. I mean, but everybody looked happy, healthy, wonderful. So I know it's a lot to go over for me tonight, but I mean, the conference, like I said, was great. I mean, you can't really compare it to nationals, but we put on a darn good conference for our state. I mean, there are some sessions I wish they would have had, like dog parks, community parks, things that we're all dealing with. Because I know when I was walking around in all the big room, I heard people saying, "Oh, what do you do about the dog parks? What kind of, ground cover do you do? Grass?" We'd all start a little conversation. We could have had our own little session right there in the middle of the floor. So maybe I should make that suggestion to them. I don't know. Anyway, but thank you again for the opportunity to go and for me a chance to learn. So thank you.
Teen Lounge at 65, I remember when it started, we were happy when it was 15. I think, 15 was a celebration or something. But again, it's just for, sometimes you almost want to take that section of the city population that is never satisfied with anything, no names, need to be named, and, ask them to, you were here, do you remember? Well, you probably don't, because you don't want to hear the facts, you just want to rabble-rouse. That we've come a long way, and it keeps getting better and better. To comment on CPRS, one of the things I noticed looking at the program, I'm a pack rat, unfortunately, I keep too much stuff, that the play course seminar, for one, was something that was a repeat. They've done it before. They had some different materials, and they changed, but but it's good. I mean, I'd taken it before. I got great literature out of it at the time. One of the things, and I'll get the book over here because off my memory I can't remember who it is, but they've taken on a line of equipment, and the big selling point of it is that it is multi-generational, not just designed for, which is along that same concept. And they were the only one really advertising it. The other vendor that was there that it kind of was like, kind of an aha moment, hey, this is different, was the outdoor ping pong table, which I think, again, just to throw it on the table, for the sports bar coming, it doesn't take up that much space. You'll put a couple of them out there. And I have a friend from a different city who was there with some other people, and I was kind of, watch them play doubles ping pong on it. It was just like a wood table. I mean, it wasn't, any different. But that to me was kind of an interesting thing. The two favorite of the seminars and was the one Loretta and I attended, which leads me to a question. It was put on by San Diego, and they were touting, and its website available, and I'll send the link out, of having a master park plan. Do we have that as well, or is that something only got to be a bigger city, or?
No, it doesn't have to be a bigger city, but to do it right, it's probably $125,000, $150,000.
Okay, I'm just,
so we did that 5-year strategic plan that we
Right.
did within the department.
Yeah.
But as far as a master plan, because it involves surveys and all kinds of different things, that typically the last time I remember him quoting me was something. It would have to be a budgeted item.
Yeah, because I looked at it on the website, not, in detail, and it just seemed like, I don't want to say fluff, that's not the right word, but there was a lot of fluff there. It was voluminous, and kind of with what we do, we seem to get it right when it's, by the time it's done, and it fits the theme, and that. But it was just kind of a question to see if it was worth considering. The reception, the Air Museum was great. Thank you for bringing it up. I was going to throw that out for a senior tour. The air show might be a little too long, too much, but this thing is pretty compact. It's not that much walking, in it. What are you suggesting?
Rita has led that tour.
Okay.
She does it for Ontario seniors.
Understand that. And maybe we could schedule it on a day when Rita would not be there so that our seniors would survive we want them to walk and see the aircraft. We don't want them to be running from Rita. I mean, God love her she means well.
Enthusiastic. It's just infectious.
Her energy is just, I wish we could get some of it. I wound up, just as kind of a matter of who you bump into here and there while on the floor, bumping into a number of other Parks and Rec commissioners. I don't know if it's kind of, they say football players can tell each other they play that we smell different or have a big neck or whatever it is. But this seemed to be kind of the thing, and just kind of some conversations, nothing in depth, nothing long, but the good part, catharsis, we're not unique in anything we do and face, which is a nice feeling that at the end of the day when it gets sometimes a little bit frustrating, it's like, well, other people have the same issues, the same problems in relationships within the organization, the infrastructure. So that was a positive thing. But, it's the first time I've really noticed that many, quote, commissioners as opposed to staff people attending, which I think is a great thing because it gives you the proper insight. Friday, unfortunately, there were two seminars I want to go to. You and I would have been together, except when I came home Thursday night, wanting to go to bed so I could get up Friday morning, I found out I have a piece of property, income property in Los Angeles. I had a missing tenant, and that took up Friday to include an ongoing escalation relationship into the high levels of the Los Angeles Fire Department. And they're, I guess maybe up there, I don't remember it because I pay taxes up there too. They don't seem to work for the public. And a very, very interesting philosophy by one of the station captains. And we have since surpassed two chiefs up the ladder from him, so we're now with the assistant fire chief in L.A. Kind of blew me away. But anyway, neither here nor there. Senior Advisory Board meeting, again, it's a great group. You're part of it. As I said in an email to Vicki and to Brenda, their leadership, it's really, really starting to pick up. And the involvement and their outreach within that community, within our community. And let's see, shirts we're going to order in. Okay. Next meeting, okay, got it. So, all right. Last but not least, my other passion, which has become these Marines down there at Camp Pendleton. The thing is starting to roll. Again, we've got a short time to get there. I would love to fill the stadium. If everybody were to come, and Gary and Vicki and Carol, if you'll help me literally reach out to the entire staff in this building. And the condition is you come, you bring your family, and you tell 3 other families they need to come. I've learned a new term. It's not volunteer. We all know that one. It's voluntold. It's a military term I found out now. You're voluntold means you'll be there. Getting more in depth with what's all entailed in doing this. I honestly, publicly will say, I am really, really kind of shocked by the position of our government, our federal government, with relation to our defense component. Thank you. You've been there. So, and a lot of things that my wife, who's a civilian worker for the Army Corps of Engineers, and I talk about, this mirrors it, of these folks have literally today nothing anymore beyond put on your uniform, go do your job type thing, but any of the enhancement features of life that used to be there, they're there. If they can raise the money or somebody will support them, or do whatever. And I found when, I'm putting together, among other things, some, quote, talking points, when you bring that up to people, their eyes get big and they get real willing to help and to get involved. This is probably, Victor, take heed of this one, not the greatest news for people on our committee and participating. The bar has been raised for what we need to do. I had a young man, and I spent probably 4 hours with him over the last 2 days, who approached me through an email, very well-written email, like he was like a college law school student, happens to be a senior at El Toro High School. And he wanted to dedicate, he's in the scouting program, he wanted to dedicate his Eagle project to, and the parameters of it are extremely rigid of what an Eagle's, I mean, I didn't realize this before. I've been to a couple courts, got a neighbor whose son, down the street type neighbor, went to that, but never really found out what's involved. Well, this thing's got a real short time frame. The management side of the Scouts has agreed to take probably 3 weeks of meetings that they would have to go through based on what he's done and condense it into a week so he can kick it off on April 1st. The paperwork he had to prepare, it was, I mean, this kid can run a $20, $30 million business with this plan. The bottom line of what his plan, what his goal is, because that's to demonstrate leadership, he's enlisting other people within 30 days to basically raise $5,000, which will be then used to, in essence, create the first set of deployment care packages to the 200 that are deployed right now, or are going to be deployed, actually, because they got a rotation coming back. And I start thinking, if this kid, who's 17 years old, with some help from adults, can do that, us as adults, if we really want to be committed to this, can do similar type things, because it's out there. But it's a really worthwhile effort. Conversation I had with the commander about a week and a half ago, because I was sitting there, it just happened when the phone call happened, that I kind of sitting there saying, we've got such a long way to go. We haven't really, what have we really done, and this type of thing. And his take on it was, he said, one of the things I want to do is thank you for your leadership and what you're doing. I said, well, Colonel, he said, no, he says, we see what's happening. We're already seeing it, and we know, what's going to be, down the line, which honestly made me feel somewhat special that he would really compliment the effort that the group was doing. He came to me with an email yesterday. Another interesting thing I picked up from one of the young men at the Marine dance. One of the big issues they have, and we'll talk about it at our next committee meeting, and I've got some people in mind to do a research project, that they have right now is when people leave, as to how to transition them. They offer some very basic counseling. All the services do, but it's extremely basic. And these characters are, by virtue of what they do in most cases, they've got a medium to high modicum of law enforcement training to include, CID type stuff, forensics, insurgent control, blah, 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 blah. But he says it's compounded by the fact that today, re-enlistment is not automatic anymore. And it's like, as the matter of an enlisted man or an officer, that when you put in to re-up, if that's what you want to do, and this young man, the senior of the 4 Marines, was in that boat, but now the whole thing came together because you have to be in the top 10%. It doesn't mean that that's not the dregs, so to speak, but if you're the 11th percentile, you may have had 4 tours in. You might have 16 years of service, and the answer is no. You're not eligible to re-up. Part of the, again, government, we've got to cut the military by X number of percent. And it's like they were looking, in a way for advice, assistance, because to them, and this commanding officer, he looks at that as a problem, that he can't kind of have a plan beyond what the Corps has to help these guys. Through no fault of their own, their career is now kind of done from that standpoint. They all know it's not forever. There's a retirement age and things like that. But again, looking at the opportunity just to be involved in something like that, and the guy I really want to thank for that is Mr. McGill. Yeah. The reason is I asked you one question, and you asked me what I was doing the next day at 1 o'clock. That was your answer. And it was, well, come on over and find out. And I did. But I do thank you for that. It's a worthwhile effort, and hopefully we will get this thing really ginning. I was at Lake Forest One's board meeting last night, and very positive as a board and the management, to getting involved, offered use of the facility and things like that. I've got an appointment Monday with their number 2 management person to lay out kind of a schedule and things like that. So it's fun too. A comment to Loretta on your article in closing. I talked to Sarah at some length, kind of on the same vein as what you're doing for our programs, and especially with the adoption ceremony and things like that. And I appreciate that she's towing, to some extent, the company line, but the Register is obviously different than a community newspaper.
Well, this is their city newspaper.
Yeah, their city newspaper, but the Register covers the county, that type of thing, and there is only so much latitude that the reporters have. If they could pick and choose, call it the good stories, I think it might be different. But they've kind of got to spread the wealth, through the county. The different reporters each have to get their bylines in so many times, which, is kind of sad, but she is real pro Lake Forest and our activity. Yeah, no, but that's the way it should be. So hopefully we can get more in there. But again, to staff, thank you again for everything you guys do. Drink, thank you for what you do as well. It's appreciated. And if there's no other further business to come in front of, oh yes, there is. There's one other thing. I forgot. Yes, thank you for making that aha look. We have an issue related with our meeting next month, at which point I will turn it over to our esteemed director. I even wrote it down.
Yeah, thank you.
MTG.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, they're having the District 10 Awards and Installation Banquet on our meeting night, which is April 17th. And at that meeting, we are recognizing Jim Rosenberg as our volunteer from the city here, and we would like to invite everybody to attend. The city will cover your registration and your dinner. We'll carpool from here if you'd like. You're all welcome to come, but we really want to recognize Chair Rosenberg for all of his efforts, especially in the last few years. He's really been re-energized, it seems like, and doing a lot of great things and coming up with a lot of great harebrained ideas. And so we'd like to suggest that you cancel the April 17th meeting and that we all attend the conference to recognize all of his efforts. The banquet is in Lakewood, at the Lakewood Center. It's at 5000 Clark Avenue in Lakewood. We'd be happy to carpool and we have a brand new van that the department just got, so I'd be happy to drive you up there if you'd like. The social begins at 5:30. The program begins at 6:30. We probably try and arrive somewhere around 5:30, 6 o'clock.
So leave about noon?
Yeah, noon 30. And
Leave at what time?
I haven't figured out what time, but we'll send you out a notice.
Okay.
But what we need to know tonight is if you would like Carol to register you, because I think the last day to register is Monday. Count Victor in, Loretta is in,
You and Country,
So-
I have to see.
But
Yeah, I guess I'm...
So we can't speak for Steve, but he's...
Steve indicated that he wouldn't be here tonight, but that he'd like to attend as well.
Good, okay, good.
Yes,
That's
so-
Great.
That's on April 17th.
Yeah.
Thursday, the same night that we had our meeting, so we can't do both, but I think
Right.
it's important to recognize volunteer.
Typically a dress code, what we're wearing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awards, and also they install the board, District 10. This is a District 10 annual event, and we choose every year a volunteer from the community to recognize. And usually we don't all go, but hey,
So who's coming in from the city?
I'm attending, Ron's going, and Vicki may attend as well. So we'll have a good presence there to recognize our chairperson. Maybe, I think John Irish got it one year.
What kind of, this is a recognition award?
Yes,
I guess, yeah.
District 10 of our CPRS.
right.
Are we members? Are we?
You're
Yeah.
the city. We are members. The cities, the board. You're all registered.
We're already.
Yeah, and so this is a good chance for you to see all the other.
I look forward to it.
Yes. So we'll send out some further information, but he's been so great lately. No, you really have.
Wait, Garrett,
You.
Let me make a comment. What was he like before? Because I haven't met him before.
No, it's just that whatever happened.
Is there a before and after?
Whatever happened in the last few years has really re-energized his efforts to.
Do you see a change here?
Yeah, I definitely have. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he got married and
I don't know, but whatever it is, it's been
Before that, yeah. That's only 5 months, so...
it's been great, and I mean it's really been fun for me too. This whole battalion thing, because we're sitting in a room with all these people and no one is stepping up. And Jim said, "I'll do it." And not only did he do it, he's really embraced it, and that is all of his work that's preceded him with the AOSO. But for some reason, he was in the service, and it's made a connection with him, and he's really done a great job, I think, in spreading that out. I mean, that dance was incredible. I mean, it wasn't just like he said. I mean, it was really, really added something to. We have great quarterly dinners, but boy, that really took it to another level. But anyways, I'm glad to hear that everybody will go, and it should be a good time.
I am too.
And Carol will get everybody registered, and then we'll make arrangements to transfer.
Activity. You're in a room with all recreational people. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
And we get to celebrate our chairperson.
Okay.
hey, sounds like a plan.
Yep.
Terrific.
So when we adjourn this meeting, we would reconvene it to the May
May meeting.
meeting.
So we are actually canceling the condition meeting, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
And then whatever agenda will go into the May.
Right, the recreation report, right at this point, all we had on it was the recreation report. We'll bring back in May. Vicki's also planning on bringing back the healthy cities, and so we'll do that.
Sounds like a plan.
Good.
Great. Okay.
All right. Motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
I'll second it.